Anderson.
Here. So, anybody have any,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
so, additions or corrections?
Yeah, I'd like to, the consent agenda, I'd like to remove item F and put it down so that we can discuss it.
Oh, great. Any objection to that? Marlena. We'll put that under new business,
Yes,
or just, we'll put that in item E. From the public?
Well, person. Howard Colson. Just heard you shifted.
You're a Crystal Lake resident.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. 37 years, but not as long as two gentlemen that seem to tag along with me every time I appear before you. You moved to your consent agenda, offer consent agenda, certain item just for purposes of clarity. Do you want us to address that during that time?
Well, we might call in for that, but if you can give us your thoughts now, it would be great.
Okay, well then, my thought is similar to ones that I have heard often at practice, which is usually the phrase, "Put me in, coach, put me in." Now, what I mean by that is we do accept our participation going forward with that consultant, whomever you decide to select. Participation means that so that we have an understanding of how long the study will take in terms of duration before your time and your staff's time. We'd also like to know, will there be an interim review as the work product goes forward? Or will it be presented to you fully groomed, so to speak? Will there be a designated contact person between the consultant and the park district, somebody who then we would have access to facilitate the documents and information that you yourself are subscribing for? Will there be a meeting with the consultant prior to the finished work project in that regard? Understanding the limitations of the Open Meetings Act, in that end, we ourselves are not so constrained as you are in terms of how you can gather and exchange information. Not to belay or carry it more than 9 innings to have a full agenda. Will we be able to visit the site with the consultant as he gets or she gets the first time while they go through that? And then we would hope that you would invite the Historic Preservation Commission, the rest of the bench, so to speak, for their comments on recommendations, especially on the future use going forward. As I began this discussion, we hope to be included and participate in the project. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else?
Oh, good. You said it all.
All right, we'll make some notes and we'll touch on those points when they comes up on the agenda. The recognition of a school district 155 Duke credit market.
I'll turn it over to Kurt. We've got 3 guests tonight that we'd like to recognize, so take it away.
All right, you guys can stay seated for just a minute. We've talked quite a bit over the past month or so about a project that we did with Prairie Ridge High School. Jason and I had originally met with a representative from D155. She put us in touch with Brian Peckart, who handled the dual marketing class, And she kind of pitched it, and he pitched it the same way of, these kids are a class that solves problems. And we thought, great, that's exactly what we're looking for. So we went to the kids, we went to the class, and we kind of gave a little bit of background about the park district, said what we were looking for, and we asked them to solve or to answer these three questions. Why don't teenagers use the park district as much as our younger groups? What programs do you think we should create to attract more teens? And how should we market the programs? So the entire class, they were broken up into groups of 2 or 3. They did market research, they held focus groups, and then they had to create presentations that they gave to select staff members, and Commissioner Cagle was there for some of the presentations as well. We got awesome feedback. We heard some great programming ideas, and some of the ideas from the general class were things like a recreation basketball league, a basketball tournament, a summer tennis camp, drive-in movie nights, pickleball leagues, an end of summer light up event, car show, a truck meet, more beach volleyball, a golf outing, and a spike ball. So those were a wide variety of ideas that we got. So then at that point, we were tasked with trying to figure out which group had done the best job. And these are the 3 people that we wanted to honor tonight for doing the best job. While all these presentations were really well done, we thought that the content and the professionalism of these 3 were outstanding, and we wanted to recognize them. So we've got some certificates. We got a little bit more good stuff. So you guys will have to stand up here in just a second. But they had, so we had all their ideas. The ideas that these 3 came up with were a beach volleyball tournament that would invoke some school pride. You would have it amongst different schools throughout District 155. They also came up with an idea of an end of senior year concert, essentially kind of piggyback off of our Tuesday night concert ideas. So the 2 concepts that they had were fantastic in terms of their presentation skills. All 3 of them spoke very well. They didn't talk over each other. It was very apparent that all of them had done homework. They had lots of enthusiasm. They surveyed 87 Prairie Ridge high school students. If I get anything wrong, by the way, please feel free to jump on in. They did a SWOT analysis. They created some great marketing materials. And one of the things that these 3 did that kind of separated themselves from all the other kids that did such a great job, they kept saying we. Some of the kids would pitch their ideas and go, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. And all of them, whenever they were talking about their ideas and their concepts, this is what we need to do. This is how we can succeed as a group. So for all of the hard work, we wanted to recognize you with some certificates. So Addison, you. Melissa, you. Here's one for you. Now, to finish up on this, so the impact or the important part then is you guys did all this work. What are we going to do now? In asking the question, why don't teens use us as much as some of the other groups? There were responses not only from these guys, but from the whole class where they're not interested, they don't know about it. But one of the biggest responses we got was that they're just too busy, that their schedules are filled with other things. I listed off all the programs that we had talked about. So what programs are we looking to implement and how soon are we looking to implement them? The Spike Ball League, we've already bought Spike Ball equipment, so that's already in play. The movie in the park, we're looking at a drive-in movie concept for Main Beach in the fall. The 2 ideas that this group presented with us.
They also did the lanterns.
That was,
That wasn't you guys?
No, someone
Okay,
had thought
sorry.
that everyone was.
the lanterns was an interesting suggestion. A little bit of a difficult environmental, but it was still one of the fun ideas that we got. So the 2 that they provided were beach volleyball. We've already worked with parks in terms of seeing how can we incorporate more beach volleyball at Main Beach. We've scouted locations and bought some, or at least looked at some equipment. And a high school concert for kind of a last hurrah for seniors. Not anything we can do for this year, but it's already on the docket for planning for next year. And finally, we said, how do we market these programs? And there was a lot of information about Instagram. I learned more about Instagram, I think, over that week than I had before. So there's a lot of stuff with creative marketing, really trying to leverage social media, still using the brochure, the high school TV, some of the things that we're already doing. But more importantly, we were asking, or we said we need some teens to help us with crafting the message to teens, and Marissa is going to be involved in that. So she's going to be doing some volunteer work for us this summer and some other work for us that we're really excited. So again, from all of us here at the Park District, thank you guys very much. I think we learned way more from you guys than you guys probably did with us. So we're very excited for where we go next. For the two of you that are already graduating, good luck moving forward. Thank you very much for your time.
Before you go, can you guys give us just a little bit about this beach volleyball? Like, how do you envision how people would sign up? Who would sign up? Just give us a
Yeah,
quick
so,
version.
yeah, we kind of pitched it as the idea of having all 4 D155 schools involved and have it be like a competition. So if the 3 of us sign up and create a team, we're gonna say, okay, we're playing for Prairie Ridge. You just make a robin bracket.
Is this 3, is this 2-man volleyball or 6?
You could do I think 6 or like max of like 7, 8 people on a team would be good, just in case somebody can't make it that night, then you still have a full squad. But we pitched it as like, if our team wins, that's 1 win for Prairie Ridge, right? Because that's who we're representing, and you compete across all 4 high schools. And then the winner of the tournament, like whatever high school has the most
So
wins.
there's 4 teams.
No, you can enter in as many teams as you want underneath Prairie Ridge High School, but you're competing against the 4 districts. So if the Prairie Ridge High School teams separately have more wins than any of the high schools, then they'll be crowned like the CL, like Crystal Lake Park District volleyball champs. Yeah, we did something very similar at Prairie Ridge High School actually this past week. They did a volleyball tournament indoors across all 4 schools, same kind of concept, and it went extremely well. Kids jumped all over the idea, they loved it, and more of them were asking if we were going to do it again. And I think the Park District, you guys could take that over. I think it'd be very beneficial.
So how do you sign up?
You just push it out on a flyer. We made some examples that Kirk can share with you. QR codes that can take you to the Park District website. Just a simple Google form sign up would be beneficial.
And Instagram on Monday mornings at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Every single group mentioned that. It was good.
We talked about continuing with mail outs too, but maybe make them like, because right now it's like a big brochure, which obviously keeps sending out, it's beneficial, but if there's gonna be one event that we're targeting, either put it as like a cover of that, or just send out one like personal little half sheet flyer in the mail to people surrounding.
Along with what Marissa's saying, like, once people start signing up, just like the word of mouth, especially among high school students, will really increase people to sign up for this event.
We can start this 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we could.
Absolutely.
Kurt, think that's possible?
Our first part is getting the court made. So once we can cross that hurdle, the easy part is the program.
It's exciting, because we want, this is what we wanted, and these are the experts, right?
The whole, it was like a Shark Tank. It was 2 days of presentation. And we have all the presentations on video. If anyone would like to see them, staff can make it available and you can watch each of the presentations. But they were really, really good. Yeah, really.
And these guys were very good, but it's not as if it was just these guys and everybody. All of them were fantastic. Kathy's right. These guys stood out above the rest.
Central Kid can do too.
It's just me. It's just me.
It's not the high bar.
Yeah.
I think, hats off to this group for winning, but like Kurt said, every group gave us ideas that we're gonna use in some form or fashion. When we finished up that Friday, I said to the class that the composure and poise they had in the presentations and the confidence that they had up there presenting to a group of strangers was phenomenal. I said, when I was in high school, there was no way they were doing it.
Valuable
So,
too. Thank you so much.
it was outstanding, a great experience, and we have to, thank Shannon from District 155. She was the one that got us in touch with Brian over at Prairie Ridge, and she said, I think I have an idea for you guys. For 6 seconds, said, all right, we're moving forward.
Great.
Because it was exactly what we
So you guys made a difference for your peers. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please just contact one of us, or Marissa will be working here this summer, so just ask her, she's got all the answers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys very much.
Picture or read it?
You want to take one picture maybe with the board perhaps?
Yeah.
If you guys want to go up front, go right in the middle right there.
Maybe in front of the owl, so.
Us, phone right here?
Yep. Oh,
Are we getting in?
Yep. or-
board members can get in.
Linda, you know,
I don't like that. Controlling care programs.
They'll be there next year.
Oh, you're taking.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just waiting for mom's.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
We took pictures.
Okay, yeah.
Hopefully this is much better than the picture you took with us, where you guys were in your pajamas for prom.
Thank
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much, Ian. Thank you.
Look, still with the handshakes, very impressive.
so much for this opportunity.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just as a side note, that's one of the things too, as they're walking out, that all, the teacher tells all of them, shake hands and look people in the eye. So it was so nice, like, every time we went to that class, every kid in the class was like, good morning, nice to meet you. Hello, how you doing? It's just the soft skills that sometimes kids don't have. So it was,
We learned a key part of getting to that group is having them do the social media stuff for us. So that's what that one young lady is gonna be doing for us this summer, is working with our marketing staff to better, I'll say, educate them on what it is that really works for them. So great experience for me.
President's message for fiscal year 20. You can tell me what's expected here, so I'm just gonna wing it.
It's all yours.
It's all over.
It's as little or as much as you want.
Goodness. So, you know, nobody knows my limitations as much as I do. Thank you for putting up with that. I think, and I do try to lean against that, those limitations, and I can be uncomfortable. And I think as a president of the board, even as a board member, I tend to do that, right? And so I know that can be hard and uncomfortable, but that's just who I am. And so I apologize for it, and I hope that the next person will do the same. So, because I think, you know, you can't just tell yourself to do the best, right? That's not going to advance you. You got to focus on what you struggle with, right? And find those struggles, right? Find those instances where you can better the whole, better yourself. And so you have to do that with honesty, right? You have to. So the next person that takes this position, don't be afraid to try to find the crux of issues, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that we review that doesn't matter at all, right? It's just rote, right? It's just going to happen. But if you can find, and you know, don't worry about making mistakes, right? Robert's rules, who really cares? We're going to get the work done. And try to, I hope, just try to find the real issues and focus on those, because there's not a lot of them. Anyway, I hope it wasn't too painful. All right, so public hearing. Got the budget and appropriation order. We're opening that public hearing. And then anybody from the public that wants to be heard on the budget for this next fiscal year? No? Okay. Any board members want to discuss it? Okay, so we'll close that public hearing. And then we have a bind-up public hearing, which is just, we're going to issue bonds. And we do these every year, and they don't use for tax base. And so we're having a public hearing with respect to our intent to issue these bonds. And I think it's like 36 months. We don't have to do this again for 36 months. So these numbers are higher than what we're actually going to issue. But nothing 3 years. Yeah, nothing out of the usual. So anybody from the public want to be heard on this? Fascinating subject? No? Board members? No? Okay, so that public hearing is closed. So next is the nomination for president. Is there any nominations for president? Anybody want to? Okay. Sarah, would you like to be president? Will you do it?
I nominate Sarah.
All right.
How about
Any
that?
other nominations? Let's, where she declines. Any other nominations? Nominations closed. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No.
Dean workflow. Here we go. Here we go. Great.
And high five.
All right, guys, here we go. We need to nominate a vice president now. Do we have any nominations for vice president?
I nominate Linda.
I nominate Eric.
I decline.
Dude, I nominate Karen.
Do you want to be vice president?
I decline.
Oh. All right. Keep it open with this, Dan.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, so do we need a second nomination for,
It's a vote.
are we doing a vote? Okay, this is gonna be fun, guys. Said about making mistakes. All right, so let's do we do roll call or show? Let's do all in favor of Karen as vice president. Aye. There we go. Anybody opposed? Okay, there we go. All right, other special appointment. We have to go through every, okay, board secretary.
I move to appoint Jason as the board secretary.
A second.
Second, perfect. Board treasurer,
Well, we should vote.
do we need a vote? Can we vote?
You want to all?
And just do one slate.
I'm fine. Yeah, all right.
For treasurer, we'll put Jason's currently the treasurer, and I believe if we change, we have to have all of our documents redone. Signatures,
Just throwing that out there.
just as a
I'm moving to appoint Jason as treasurer.
That's good.
Second.
Okay, and who's the current assistant board treasurer right now? Okay. So,
Move to appoint Tina as assistant treasurer.
I move to appoint.
That's a blank. It's a
Okay. FOIA officers,
that would be me and him.
We just want Jason and Sanders as the FOIA officers.
okay. Give me a second. Do we need seconds for these? Second,
We can do it all again.
okay. Open Meetings Act officer, who's that? Jason, okay, so
We appoint Jason as the executive officer.
all right. And the NISRA Board of Directors,
Jason.
yep. Okay, and the Chris Lake Park Initiative Foundation, Karen. Karen, okay, we will move to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second all of them.
Perfect. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Get used to whispering. No, okay. Moving on to our consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent.
I second.
Policy says it have to, up to you.
Okay, so to follow the policy,
We are going to move to approve the voucher expenses for the month ending March 31st, 2024, in the amount of $508,509.80. We're going to move to approve the interim voucher expenses for the month ending April 30th, 2024, in the amount of $740,675.90. You're accepting the treasurer's report for the month ending March 31st, 2024, in the amount of $15,467,911.87. Reading the regular park board meeting minutes from April 18th, 2024. The committee meeting of the whole minutes from May 2nd of 2024. The Barlina Barn consultant. Oh, strike that. That's right. Okay, strike E, strike committee meeting of the whole. No, strike the Barlina Barn consultant proposal. Approve the agency goals and executive director work initiatives. The organizational chart changes and the on Angel Wings fundraising.
I second that.
All right. Roll call.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Heisler. Yes. Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Mathias,
Yes.
Commissioner McHale.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, so items removed from the consent agenda were the Barlina Barn consultant.
So I guess I'd like to go back and revisit it because I think what you asked for in a proposal determines the direction you go in. And the board had originally asked to stabilize the barn. What would it cost to stabilize the barn, not to restore the barn? And I think the proposal is asking for restoration, not for stabilization. If we look at, we have 10-year planning documents, not 20-year planning documents, but so I think it would be reasonable to say, what if we scrap this proposal and went back and asked for one that said, what would it take to stabilize the barn for 10 years? Because that's the term that we plan for. You would get a totally different answer than if we asked for what it would cost to restore the barn. If we asked to restore the barn, I fear that the numbers are going to come in and be horrific and scare us away from doing it. When what we had said was, what do we need to do to keep it?
Yeah, it seems like we don't need a consultant for that, right? Amy, do we need a consultant to determine what it would take to stabilize the barn?
Well, we would need a engineering and a structural consultants to do that, and part of the scope of the work was to do a illustrated structural assessment, describing the existing conditions of the existing conditions, analysis of conditions, recommendations, and a preliminary estimate of costs for that, and that does include the foundation, review of the foundation. So.
Right, but it's a different question to ask, what do we need to do to keep it existing and stable for 10 years? Maybe and even the documentation, maybe we take that out of this proposal and do the documentation after, if we come to the point where we want to tear it down. If what we're trying to do is be as cost efficient as we can right now, we're just trying to stabilize it and keep it for 10 years. We're
So
not
where
trying to
did-
restore it.
Where did the 10 years come from?
Well, that's our 10-year,
period.
we do 10-year planning.
I mean, to me, it's not fiscally responsible to invest whatever amount of money into something that we might tear down in 10 years. So that's just my opinion.
But we need a plan for to keep it so it's safe, right? That's what you're getting at.
Yeah, I think keeping it safe is different than restoration. I think they're very different numbers.
I do believe you have to do a lot of restoration work to keep it safe. You have to do roof work, you have to do siding work, you need to take the lean-tos off to keep it safe. You need to have you need to do something with the silo, because the base of it is very rotted out from the silage. The acids of the silage should be eroding at the concrete. There's holes that animals come in. The corn crib also, the roof needs to be replaced. There's siding work that needs to be replaced to keep it safe for holding it for 10 years, or 5 years, or 2 years. That's not rehabbing it, that's just making it safe, because right now pieces are flying off, it's not.
Oh, I've seen them fall. I
Yeah.
agree that they are flying off, but I think what you ask for is what you get. And if we ask for, what do we need? What would it cost to stabilize it for a minimum of 10 years? We're gonna get a different answer than if we ask, what will it take to restore it? I think it's just a different question.
Well, so the restoration costs, they weren't proposing new uses. Because restoration, you would want to get those prices based on a new use, a different use, a barn, or like if it was a wedding venue place, you wanted, what would the cost be to renovate it for that use? So right now, it's just restoration to save it as a barn,
Right, not for public use.
not for public use.
So you're saying that there's nothing in the proposal, the package that we saw that you would feel comfortable removing in order to come to that determination?
Correct. Yeah, this is just to keep it as a barn, all of the proposals I got.
We can pull out the historical portion, if we don't want to pay for that right now, and ask
Yeah.
them to read.
The historical component was the cheapest, the architectural documentation was a little more expensive, and all of it too. But that is tied in part with the structural analysis, because they have to review all of the beams and posts and the wood itself to make sure, that's part of the process of reviewing it, and why they're doing it, why not document it, since they're already in the next proposal. That way we would have that documentation for historical preservation needs, and also just because it's kind of cool.
So
Yeah.
with this outfit that you're recommending, do they come to a meeting and give us their preliminary thoughts?
We can ask them to do whatever we want.
I'm not so concerned about the historical documentation, because it seems like we've got a group that's pretty good about that.
We have our
But maybe we can give them a little extra task by asking them to come with us and tell us what they see preliminarily before we define a report.
I'd love to ask them, if possible, to make it a multi-step process, so we don't have to come up with this amount of money all at once. Maybe we can come up with a chunk here, and a chunk there, and a chunk there, and it's more feasible to do.
They did break their fees out, especially, everyone did things, I asked for apples to apples for everyone. But McGuire and Gillespie broke out the fees for one structural assessment, and they gave me pricing for the barn and the corporate, barn complex. And then the task 2 is as-built drawings and photographic documentation. That's a separate price for each of those 2 items. And then they did a price for historic documentation.
When you said as-built, as-built is what?
As-built drawings, so actual architectural drawings of what was built. The
Oh,
actual structure,
you
they'll
mean-
go in there,
You mean
the barn itself.
previously, not as-built, not what we're thinking about.
Well, as-built are after it's constructed drawings.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Are they-
so the
It's
current.
drawing on what's.
I know what as-built is, this is what we're going,
No, this is what we have,
this is what was built.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, I
this
don't-
is the 10 by 10 beams, they're gonna actually create an architect, whole set drawings for all, materials that were used and drawn out, so you could, it's an as-built.
Okay, so-
In order to stabilize the barn, ultimately, that has to be done.
The
Those
as-built-
drawings, yes.
That was part of the historical,
No, not part of the historical.
well, I know not part of, that was part of what was asked, if we're gonna historically document it, also have as-built drawing stuff.
It seems like we're looking at structural assessment and preliminary costs
Right.
is what we really, that's
I
what
can-
we really-
So we're able to break those out. They gave us those numbers.
Yeah, and that's $7,500 from the structural assessment.
Okay, so how do we move forward?
I think if they're willing to do it, that we contract with them to give us a structural assessment and the preliminary costs for preserving it as is.
Can we ask the historical committee for their input on this? Make that acceptable?
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that?
That would be great. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need to take a vote?
Do I
So we
need
can,
to put together, Well, can I ask this question? I'd like to go back to the consultant to make sure we add a couple extra meetings or an hour, you know, they gave me hourly rates. But it sounded like they, the comments from the public were toward the effect of having a lot more integrated meetings.
Which, I mean, we're paying hourly,
Yeah.
correct? So we need to be efficient
Right.
with our money.
Yeah, exactly. So I can ask them for an upfront, say, give me a couple more meetings in their proposal. Is their budget, you know, their structural assessment of around $7,500, if we round it up to not to exceed $8,000, sure, for sure with that.
So, yeah, so how, like, if we could find out what they would do for structural assessment and preliminary costs and a couple of meetings.
And ask them if they can stage it so we can afford it.
Well, that would be that would be a lump sum.
No, to them, yes, to ask them if it's possible to stage the work.
Oh,
You know what I mean? So like, in year one, we do this, in year three, we do
I don't
this.
think they're gonna give us a plan, they're just gonna give us, well, I guess they are.
Yeah, they can prioritize,
They
they
can-
have to have the changes.
Right, right. I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of heavy stuff front end.
I get that. We're just trying to strip off the extras so we can. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we need,
Okay, so do we want to approve something tonight, or is the board wanting me to come back with revised proposal?
Amy, what do you?
Well, it makes sense to just, let's get going on this and if you can give me a, you know,
Does that have
approval.
to exceed amount?
I move to approve the structural assessment and preliminary costs, proposal of where. Less,
Yeah, McGuire Nicholas.
Not to exceed $8,000.
not to exceed 8,000.
I second that.
roll call?
Commissioner Heisler? Yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Mathias?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay? Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cagle?
Yes.
Commissioner McDaniel?
Yeah. Okay. We're going to do new business. The budget and appropriations ordinance 25-2101.
Move to approve ordinance 24-2501, budget appropriation ordinance.
Sure. Executive.
Okay, roll call?
Thanks, guys. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Mathias?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson? Yes. Commissioner Cagle?
Yes.
Commissioner Heisler? Yes. Commissioner McHale?
Yes. Okay, and to the Lake Ecology Advisory Committee memo of understanding.
And so I still have a problem with this. We do this, we tie our hands with policy and stuff like this and just drive me nuts. Right? So I know that the shoreline property owners are going to pay for their share if they want their own treatment. But to put it in this agreement, to even mention the SPOA or the CCAPOA was just, I think, ridiculous. It's offensive to me as a board member because every board should be able to decide this for themselves. I think we're going to decide that, of course, we're not going to pay for shoreline property. But it's just, there's no need to mention SPOA or CCAPOA. So we should just strike that sentence completely from section 5.
So, Eric, I would genuinely like to discuss it. So, we've named them an official kind of committee of the Park District with a focus on ecology. And it seems as our representative, the committee should really and truly talk to other groups.
Well, yeah, they should, of course. They have no fiduciary responsibility.
Correct.
I think so. They're not going to talk to other groups and say, "Hey, we're going to pay." They don't have that ability. So it's just we're trying to include other entities into an agreement between one party. It's like I'm going to contract with you to buy your neighbor's house. It's just that form, right? And also we do things like this that we take as policy and then we tie the hands of our board, which is not really tie hands because we just say we strike that policy, right? We abate that policy or suspend that policy, right? But I don't like having to do that.
So
So
we,
can quickly just make an explanation of why that was originally put in there, and I'm fine with striking it if that's. The only reason that I put that in there was to make sure that if there was any additional treatments happening on the lake, that was coordinated through the Lake Advisory Committee, which would coordinate with the Park District, so we know what's being dumped into the lake. That's a big issue if we've got private parties doing their own treatments on the lake and one organizer is not paying attention to it.
This talks about the expense of.
Yeah, so maybe taking it out of funding and putting it under one for collaboration.
I think we can say that they will collaborate with, you know, lakefront property, home ownership associations, et cetera. That's just fine. But if I'm, you know, I am part of the SPO, was part of the CCAPOA, I would not like you putting me into an agreement, right? So that I'm not a party to.
So you're more not wanting us to identify the committee, the groups that exist, but what Jason is saying is we want to make sure that these people that live on the property and they're putting stuff in the water, that they talk to us.
Well,
That's what we want.
That's not what this is about.
Right, is that
Expense
right?
up.
Yeah, so we could strike it from there, and I think putting it under collaboration is another bullet point that we would collaborate, that the Lake Advisory Committee would collaborate with HOAs.
And generally, I mean, call them general names because they could change names, you could have new groups, blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
There are other groups, yes.
Yeah, so call it, you know, with HOA and other groups, other.
There's
lake-
multiple on the North Shore that don't
Yeah.
mention. Yeah, there's others.
Okay, so I can make those changes, that's not a problem.
And so that was my main thing, maybe my main thing is, I don't like policies that tie the hand of future boards. I think that's just, it's parental, and it's not letting us lead the park district, which is what we're letting. Right?
It's
And then
very
the next-
easy to change that though.
We should change it.
So you see what I'm, like, I get what you're
no,
saying,
it's,
but
well, to have a policy
policy
just
can
say,
change.
oh, they can, I'd say the policy is being changed just to give us freedom. But I don't think they're good to have because you say, oh, that's our policy. I mentioned it one time already, I'm like, our policy is to, what, to do roll call, or to read.
It is to read.
Which is ridiculous. I don't.
But that's what the code says.
Then you have to read.
Yeah, the municipal code for municipality says you have to read and announce. It actually says you have to read it once, motion to accept, motion to approve. You short circuited it to read it. That gives everybody that's in attendance knowledge of what it is, other than approved. But approved voucher expenses in the amount of $5 million or whatever.
So that's not really a policy, that's a law.
It goes with the law, and it's the Open Act and following the Illinois municipal codes.
I'll test you on the law part of it, but if it is a law, that's great.
It's the
I
municipal
don't,
code.
but if it was just a policy, I would not like it because it.
Well, no, it takes a long time.
Well, that's why it became a policy, probably.
To choose things under the law, they don't need to be policy.
The municipal code provides for omnibus approval in matters the park district code doesn't, because the park district code doesn't provide expressly for that, it implies that it should be a separate vote for each one. Under Dylan's rule, they don't have the powers that are given to you. So what we did was mimic the other one just to make it easier. And cut out the step of accepting the omnibus.
So we're not sure if the law applies, but we're applying it because they can apply it because the municipal code
Well,
requires.
no, what we're doing is we're trying to speed up and make things more efficient at your meetings. And we've done that and made that recommendation and talked with others about the state. So if you.
It's off, it's
I think
off
we
my
can-
point, but yeah.
But I do agree that we should make these changes, move it out of funding up to collaboration. And do you want to see that wording again? The wording that Jason's going to adjust in this?
I could revise it and bring it back again next month, or I can just, you can prove it with the revisions that you requested.
I'm fine. But you guys,
I'd like to see it. This is the second time seeing it. I thought it was gonna be different this time. It wasn't, so I think to prove something.
The committee just has to do the same.
okay, so go ahead and bring it to the next meeting. We'll look at it and hopefully be able to approve it. Right. Perfect. Moving on to health insurance contribution changes. 80/20.
So, just to summarize, I'm not going to remember, but, as we discussed at the committee of the whole meeting, the budget started with a reduction of over $200,000, and then, the rate increases came back at 2%, and we had budgeted in anticipation of the 25%. So it was down considerably from what we were told we should budget for by the brokers. Our dental insurance also decreased. So, with inflation the last couple of years and our merit pools a total of 10% over the last couple of years, we thought that maybe asking the board if we could, right now the staff pays 25% of their insurance costs and the park district covers 75%. So what we're asking is if the board would be willing to go to a 20/80 split. I did do a quick survey of other districts and we're definitely the highest. Couple surveys came back to me after I put this together, and some districts are actually park district covering the full amount. I'm not recommending that, but it just shows that there's kind of a wide range there. So to give staff a little bit of relief, that was behind this request. And then back when the Affordable Care Act was implemented, one of the plans that was offered to staff was a HSA plan, and those deductibles typically are a lot less than the PPO plan. So there was an incentive given by the board for an individual for $2,100 and family plan for $2,600 if the staff person would take that amount would be given to the staff person to offset the deductible. Those amounts have not changed since we went to an HSA offering. The current deductibles for this year are $3,500 and $7,000. So they have gone up considerably. So we were asking if the board would be willing to go up to $3,000 for an individual and $4,400 for that would be an additional cost to the district, about $19,000. And I should mention that the additional cost for the change in percentage would be a little over $45,000.
So we had budgeted some numbers that just stuck out as like being too high for health insurance.
And we cut that back by 200.
So
They were reasonable projections and it just came in bizarrely low.
really,
Yeah.
I thought that historically that's what our numbers were.
Well, we were given that information from the broker to start with. As a projection that they were thinking it was gonna be a higher increase this year with everything that was going on with inflation and whatnot.
So two things happened. One was what you just said, we budgeted high. Rocio went back to the drawing board and sharpened the pencil and got us down $200,000 by actually using actuals and.
But our actuals previously were much lower than, but in the same.
Right, so that's why it was dialed down by $200,000
It's
to
not-
start.
So
What's the second reason?
The second reason is what Tina was just talking about. We were told to plan on a 25% increase and it came back to 2%. So that's why there's that gap. I think I put in here, the budget for insurance, for health insurance is going to be somewhere around a little over 700 or just under 800. And our budget is like a little over based on that 25%.
And another reason why actuals don't always end up as close to budget as projected is because not all employee positions are filled and they're not filled for the whole year. But those positions are budgeted at family coverage because we don't know when we hire somebody, what type of situation they're going to be in. So we budget for the higher amount just to make sure that we're covered.
And then Kathy had requested that we provide what our historical increases have been for the last 10 years. And after looking at this, we have to say that Vista's been very good over the course of 10 years, keeping this kind of stable. But things have changed. Deductibles have gone up. We've had to change plans, which is definitely a stress on everybody when that happens because you don't know what to expect from the carrier. But from a financial standpoint, over the last 10 years, it's been pretty good.
Well, it's been good in that we've budgeted high and the numbers come in much lower, but it hasn't been good in health insurance costs have skyrocketed.
What I'm saying though is yeah, right. But luckily our rates have over the course of 10 years have only gone up 0.33%. But there's some years that, you know, they went up 17% in here somewhere. 20, well, started out, yeah, there was a 17% one. Oh, that one. Sorry. But anyway, it's stabilized, but yeah, costs have definitely gone up, and it's definitely one of the hardest things we struggle with when it comes to budget. There's no question. It's a lot.
So I move that we accept the proposed changes to employee contributions to health insurance.
As well as the increase in the HSA contribution.
That includes everything.
Yeah.
I second that.
Roll call?
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Mathias,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Cagle,
Yes.
Commissioner Heisler,
Yes.
Commissioner McHugh.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on to the activity guide brochure printing bid.
Well, it comes from our marketing
A
department.
large document, I mean.
This is our annual printing bid for the brochure production. And we go out to do it for the entire cycle of brochures or what it looks like. So this is what Jenny Leach was able to put together. Pretty self-explanatory. Got any questions?
I do have a question. This is for our activity guides. Like the young people today were suggesting doing, one-off half sheet flyers. Do we do those? as
We
well?
do postcards for different things. Yes. We don't bid that out, but we have a budget line that.
How was this amount compared to last year?
There you go. I
Uh,
want to say it's very similar.
it disconnected from my computer.
It was a big jump previous year, I think.
Yeah, that was when a lot of that, coming out of COVID, printing costs went way up. And now they kind of stabilized a bit, so,
Yeah, I want to say paper prices went up quite a bit.
but, I'm sorry, I don't have that.
I move to accept, the marketing department's bid recommendations for the print.
Second,
Second that?
roll call?
Commissioner Mathias,
Yes.
Commissioner Cagle,
Yes.
Commissioner Heisler,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner McGinn.
Yes. Alright, on to the ordinance 24-2502, the annexation of property to the Chris Lake Park District. From Butternut, right?
Yes.
It's a total land area.
That's like,
It's small, it's a house.
It's like we're 300 by,
and they want this, right?
Yeah, they
They
came
came to
approached
us?
us. Yes.
Okay,
So this is really just a.
this is,
There's a survey that's,
yeah,
yeah,
and I can't remember. the size of this.
one light is
It's
about
like at
300 feet.
very.
It's a fairly
end of
large
Butternut.
lot.
It's just a lot.
So there's a home on it.
Wow.
Yeah. And it meets all the criteria to annex, so there's no issues there. No, Scott, we got this part. Work, paperwork that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Sign their petition, so everything's good.
I think that's great.
It's
Like,
4.99 acres, 4.99 acres, so it's a big parcel.
So I move to annex, accept the petition to annex.
We're approving the ordinance 24-25.
Move to approve the ordinance that is, includes the petition to annex.
Second.
we roll call that? All in favor? Opposed? None. All right, so moving on to discussion of the general policy manual, policy 565, meeting agenda.
Well, I think that when you are trying to remove somebody from office, we have a kind of funny reputation. If we remove somebody from the meeting, she sued part, she's successful. 4-year time, Scott. I just, removing somebody from public office is big deal. So Scott, do you know of anybody that's been removed from a policy like this?
Yeah, so there's a couple of cases on removal of office and they involve school districts and
You said a Louisville office?
removal, where and they come in the context, I believe, entirely of school finance authorities when the school district is going under, the state takes over. But the only part case was Leona Nelson, versus like Park District.
Which was overturned.
Which, yeah, because they said that they needed to for a hearing and then it was remanded for further proceedings. And then my recollection is she didn't run for office.
Different
So it
issue
just-
anyway, wasn't
yeah, so it's the
just
same, yeah, it was just, she was.
But removal is a huge deal, and I think that our policy is too thin on that, because you start moving down that path of removal when it's obvious to me that we haven't had any intention to vacate the office. I think the first step in a policy like that is a majority of the board would have to, but the board would have to make a vote to prove that it is apparent that this person has vacated their office, right? And then we can start going through the steps. I think that's step one. I don't think we barge into this until the majority of us thinks, hey, this person is not showing up, right? And it becomes a problem with the majority just like, let's go through, not the president saying, let's start this thing. I think that's too much authority in the president. So I think the policy should be revised to require that, to require a consensus of the board members that this is a problem. Not we've missed X meetings and maybe good reasons for it, right? So I think the policy should be revised. And I think, and so I will move to suspend the policy until we. And I do move to suspend the policy until we do.
I'll second that. I would like to point out, I don't think there's ever been any discussion of removing the board.
That's the whole purpose of this policy.
No, it isn't. The whole purpose of this policy is to have expectations and performances in terms of attendance. I don't think the whole purpose of this policy at all is to remove someone. I think that's one of the things possible within it, but I think it's I think the purpose of this policy is to establish expectations for board attendance.
I agree. Maybe we should revise it in that manner as well to make it clear that that's the purpose and not removal, because it reads as to the process of removal. It reads as like, this is your due process before you do.
So how about this, we put this on the agenda for the next committee of the whole, where we all think about this and what our suggestions are that it should say. I agree, it needs some revision. And we figure it out at the committee of the whole.
That sounds fine.
I actually would like to comment. I want to ask Scott. Scott, do park districts have these attendance policies, or how common is?
Some do. Maybe less than 50.
So
I would
some
say-
people don't even have an expectation.
Yeah, I don't think
No, so
it's your policy. As Erica said many times, you can do whatever you want. So
Yeah, I think it's worth revisiting it in general. I don't think there's anything wrong with having some form of an expectation set. And I think we can all come to an agreement on what we want the spirit of that policy to be. You know, that's gonna work for everybody. And honor that. So I'm fine with revisiting it. So if you can't be at the next meeting, like, please send send me your thoughts ahead of time of what you want it to be, like what your thoughts are.
I wanted to address something tonight. Is it
Okay.
ready?
Go ahead.
So during a recent meeting, an attendance list highlighting absences was distributed, which incidentally is inaccurate according to our current policy. The decentennial, the provided list included decentennial meetings, which falls outside of the scope of our attendance policy. So I wanted to highlight that first, that decentennial meetings are not supposed to be a part of it. Most recently, the repeated expressions of disappointment regarding board member accountability and perceived meeting avoidance voiced at the last 3 meetings, culminating in a particularly strong statement at the most recent one, struck me as unfounded and quite frankly offensive. And that is why I've asked this to be put on the agenda. Furthermore, the request for a special session on this topic ultimately was rejected by a 5-2 vote, indicating a lack of consensus for such an action and should have been a signal that the majority didn't feel the need to address this topic. Given the focus placed on particularly my attendance, because that list went around to everybody, I feel compelled to address it directly. One absence stemmed from an emergency. My son's broken foot. He's at U of I. I'm a single parent. His father lives in Arizona. He required my immediate attention. He had to go down. Yeah. The remaining 2 absences occurred during my mother's critical illness, necessitating a 2-week FMLA leave from my job. I would like to show you a picture of my mother on life support. And this is what I was dealing with. I wasn't avoiding. Okay. Thankfully, she recovered, but I would never hesitate to prioritize such family emergencies again. In my view, such circumstances warrant understanding, not negative presuppositions. Life presents us with periods of greater difficulty. Perhaps rather than a laser focus on what, attendance, a deeper understanding of the why, underlying reasons would be more beneficial. That's the very approach I would take with any of you, trusting your professionalism and dedication to this board. Instead of focusing on a perceived gotcha moment, a conversation exploring the why could foster strong relationships among the board members. Adopting a positive approach, asking what's going on instead of assuming negative intent, avoidance of meetings would serve us all well. Therefore, I propose either the abolishment of the attendance policy or amendment. I hold each board member in high regard, confident in your commitment to fulfilling your elected duties. This policy in its current form seems to be used for targeted divisive purposes. Ultimately, our electorate will be the judge of our performance, holding us accountable through the re-election process. Let us focus on collaborative efforts and mutual respect, fostering a more productive environment for all going forward.
Thank you. Well said. And in the spirit of positivity, I think we're going to be able to craft something out of this that both upholds our commitment to our elected position, but is also a common sense communication forward approach to dealing with when people have to miss meetings. Okay.
So I'd like to call for a vote on the motion to suspend the policy.
Okay, so I seconded that already, his motion. So what do we have to do? We do roll call?
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Cagle?
No.
Mr. Heisler?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Mathias?
Yes.
Mr. McGinn?
Yes.
We'll put that on.
Yes, so guys, like, really think about what you, don't just be here, at the meeting and start, like, let's think about what we truly want it to be, because I think we're all adults and,
I think the crux of it is we need to decide the problem as a majority, not just the president being required to, this is the number.
Sure, so we'll come together and we'll discuss. Okay, moving on to report to the board.
I just have one reminder, June 1st is our Nature Center exhibit and opening event. We had a little staff outing there today, for staff to kind of see the unveiling of it, and it's phenomenal. It's
Pictures look off.
I'm speechless. It's that good. You have to see it for yourself. But, so that'll be coming out. I did speak to one of our legislators down in Springfield last week, and he does intend to be there, so should have a few legislators. So to recognize them for the grant. That's all I had. Tina?
Just thank you for approving the budget. We can get that underway. I'm sure staff will be happy to start spending. Because we have a lot of projects that are ready to go. And just to focus on new hires. With April and May, we had the 91 that I listed in my report, but we've had a bunch more after that. So I think we have another 90 the other end of May. So I'll report on that next month. And then just we secured the auditors for another year. So we will work on getting that underway as well.
Just getting geared up for summer, but to piggyback off what Jason said, we've done 7 field trips so far to the nature center. These are all school field trips. I was there for the first one, and it was, I think you guys are gonna be blown away. It was great seeing the kids walk in and go, hey, this looks a lot different than it used to. Or like, whoa, this is pretty neat. Like the kids were excited, which got the staff excited. So that just, again, piggybacking on how great it looks off of Jason State.
Keep gearing up for summer, really, set up the beaches and getting ready for tomorrow. Between weather and grass growing and everything else going on, it's pretty good.
Eric always stops in and says hi to me every morning today, so I can't talk. I got too much to do.
It's good though. Right.
It's been raining, everything is growing,
Yeah.
like insane, it's crazy.
Amy?
I have some fun photos to pass, or images, they're design images on the splash pad, photos, conceptual design for the splash pad. So I'll pass that around, working on, we're really working quite a bit on how to get somebody net focused. So, it went live on the website, but the notice is in the paper this weekend. And I also wanted to invite you all to the Nature Center. We're doing a community planting day on Saturday. So if you want to help lay out plants, I will be laying out all the plants tomorrow at the Nature Center, so they're ready to go and plant on Saturday morning. So from 9 to 11, 12, and John's making it a monkey bread and whatever else he makes, and the Rotary Club is donating, bringing coffee. And sunshine.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Any other reports from, okay, any matters from the boards? I have a couple of things. Looking at Eric, at your reports, we're doing 60 hours of batting cage daily inspections and 0 last year for the month.
Yeah, it all depends on when we open them up. So that it was busy. Some issues from things that stepped over the ball last year. So I think like that. So it's
And then I thought it was really cool that Jennifer Peterson sent in her thank you from the seniors for the new bus and how much it's changed for them. So that was really wonderful feedback to hear. And then I wanted to recognize Kurt for getting a CPRP certification. Isn't it you, Kurt?
Stephanie.
Shoot, sorry. Just take.
I was like, well, mine is still current. I get my CEU. No, but it's like a 4-hour test that she had to sit through. So she was very nervous, and she's also getting ready for the beaches, and she is 6 months pregnant. So she is packing a whole lot in. So it was really exciting for her to get that.
It's great to see. Anybody else? No? Okay, nothing for, do we have anything? No, nothing for executive session. Okay, well, then we. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
So I leave on the baseball game, and what the daughters say, "You're having an incredible game." Oh, yeah. Thank you for reminding me. It's gonna catch me talking about my son's